Hey everyone, it's Tools from Next Level Walkthroughs coming at you with another Madden 17 Ultimate Team positional video looking at the wide receiver position, some of the cheaper options you can get, some of the budget options, and then of course at the end of the video we'll look at the cheap elite players you can get when you're upgrading your team. So, buy it now here. Lots of guys under 1,000 that can be decently solid. Right from Tennessee. Nothing really fancy here. His catching traffic is good. Basically, his release is bad, so he's more of like a slot type receiver, maybe an outside type. I don't really recommend any of these guys. These guys are all pretty low rated. I mean, if you're really strapped for a budget, Kamir Aiken will do you pretty well. Same with Wright. Terrence Williams, probably not terrible either. Pretty solid overall there, actually. His Lucinative is low, but Williams looks pretty good, actually. So I'd recommend probably Wright, Aiken, and Terrence Williams. Green Beckham, he's more of a down-the-field type receiver if you want one of those. Fairly cheap. Jordan Matthews is a little more expensive. His stats don't really impress me, though. Low release, low catching. Crabtree is a guy who I've had on my team. I think he's like my second or third receiver. I think my third receiver at this point. Pretty solid all around. His elusive's not the best. Good jumping. His catch and traffic, though, has seemed pretty weak to me. He drops a lot of balls. I started my team with him, but for 79 overall in the price, he's pretty solid. Just more of an overall, all-around guy. I might even take Wright ahead of him. But probably the cheapest, highest rated options you can get are probably Vincent Jackson. 79 overall, 81 speed, 88 catching, 48 elusive is what makes this card pretty terrible. But if you just want someone who's not going to outrun people, basically run after the catch, you want someone who's going to secure the ball and is tall and can get down the field. I mean, his 81 speed is not going to be terrible. His jumping is really good, so he's going to win a lot of matchups one-on-one against cornerbacks. Recommend Vincent Jackson. You can get him for about 2,000 coins. A good, solid receiver to have on your team, maybe as your second receiver. Dante Moncrief is a guy I've used a lot as well. In the previous Madden, he was way faster. Speed down to 88 this year, which is still good. He's good for down-the-field threats and coming off slant routes because of the speed. The route running, elusiveness, and release are all fairly low. However, catch and traffic is pretty low. So this guy, Moncrief, although he's got good speed, I would recommend probably passing on him this year. A guy who I have used in draft and who I think is the second best option probably to Vincent Jackson is Victor Cruz. Compared to Jackson, Cruz is definitely more of an all-around option, and Jackson is more of a down-the-field type person. Cruz is perfect for the slot receiver formation. Basically, all his stats are good all around. His release is the lowest, but you don't really notice that, especially compared to some of these other guys that have releases in the 70s as well. Cruz is not a down-the-field guy. He's a guy you want to kind of throw to on receiver screens, slot routes, out routes, in routes, crossing routes. So I'd highly recommend Victor Cruz, and I'm probably going to add him and Jackson to my team as well. Macklin is probably one of the higher-rated guys you can get for cheap. Nothing here really impresses me. He's very good overall, very similar to Cruz. I'd probably just try Cruz ahead of him, but I mean, for an extra 2,000 coins, Macklin is a pretty good option there as well. Keenan Allen is a player that you pretty much should have on your team. He's good both down the field and in shorter routes and medium routes. His only questionable stat is the release, which, again, I've seen a lot of these guys in the 70s, so his is the high 70s, so you can't really complain about that. So I think Keenan Allen is one I'm going to add on my team to that position, and I'll probably go with Keenan Allen and Victor Cruz and maybe Vincent Jackson as a third. But I have a little more coins, so I'm going to look to some of these more expensive guys. Floyd's okay, but I would say if you want the cheapest, best you can get at the receiver position for gold, Keenan Allen is a good start. Macklin is also a pretty good start. If you want a down-the-field guy, I'd recommend Vincent Jackson or even Stephon Diggs can get down the field for you. Very fast player. Kelvin Benjamin is probably the best for catching in traffic. So if you're going to only be throwing small, short to medium passes, look into Benjamin, although he's a little more pricey than all these guys. If you want to splurge a little bit and kind of upgrade your team, Tyler Lockett is one of the best deep threats in the game, as well as Mike Evans, who's coming in around 8,000 to 9,000 coins. Evans would be your down the field guy, 8 foot tall, good jumping, 6'5" tall, not 8 foot tall. That's a little much there. I actually have Edelman on my team. I'm not thrilled with how he's played, so I'm probably going to sell him probably for 6,000 to 7,000 coins, and I'm going to invest that into Mike Evans. I also have Amari Cooper on my team as well. Pretty solid. Again, another down the field guy, but he's done really well through the middle of the field for me too. So my receiving core is probably going to look like Cooper, Keenan Allen, Victor Cruz, and probably Vincent Jackson. That's who I'm going to roll with here in the beginning of Ultimate Team. And then if I'm upgrading later, I'll probably upgrade through the gold path. I might get Allen Robinson, who seems like the best gold receiver there is. Probably get him for about 10,000 coins eventually. Really solid stats overall, and he's not weak in any area. So if you have the coins, I recommend him definitely. He can be your best receiver on the team. T.Y. Hilton is also another player who's probably around the same price as Allen Robinson. He's more of a down-the-field type receiver, though. So if you pair him with Allen Robinson, that'd be a pretty good receiving core. And then you can use Keenan Allen as like a third. But that's who I'd recommend for golds anyway. So Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, I've used a lot. And then if you're looking on the cheaper end of things, probably Macklin, Victor Cruz, and Vincent Jackson. And we'll go take a look at the elite receivers. Just check out what our upgrade paths are there. Basically, the only really budget option, well, there's a couple, I guess. Jordy Nelson is the cheapest at about 22,000 coins. His stats are really nothing crazy compared to some of those gold players we just showed. However, his route running is very good, and his catch and traffic is great. He's pretty much a versatile receiver as well, either down the field or over the middle. Brandon Marshall's an interesting one as well. He's fairly cheap too, about the same price as Nelson. If I had to choose between either one of these guys, I'd take Brandon Marshall for sure. And if you have a little more coins to splurge, Doug Baldwin I would kind of pass on. But Dez Bryant would probably be your best option, around 30,000 coins. Take a look at Baldwin's stats here. Yeah, I mean, Baldwin's pretty solid all around. He's very short, though. He's only 5'10". I'd prefer Nelson over Baldwin, just for the couple extra inches of height. But you can't go wrong with either Nelson or Brandon Marshall. If I had to choose one, I'd definitely pick Brandon Marshall. But eventually, I'll probably grab one of these guys. Although they're not really needed, the higher-end gold receivers are pretty good and are pretty comparable to these guys. So Allen Robinson, T.Y. Hilton are all pretty comparable to all these guys. I would say Hilton is pretty comparable to Baldwin. Allen Robinson is sort of a Jordy Nelson type. And if you get someone like Mike Evans or Vincent Jackson, he's kind of that Marshall down the field, taller receiver. So these are the options you have for receiver. Again, my recommendations are Keenan Allen, Vincent Jackson, Victor Cruz, Amari Cooper. And if you're going in the elite path here, I'd recommend that 85 Brandon Marshall. So thanks for watching. Look for more position videos in